Welcome to Cherry Blossom BL Story, where emotions bloom and stories unfold. Sit back, relax, and enjoy today's chapter.
20 years ago, two boys made a promise, one midnight, one place, to see who became more successful. No contact, no mercy, just proof. He showed up rich, powerful, ruthless. The other came back pale, broken, collared, with a wife, 2 kids, and secrets that could destroy everything. But promises like that don't end with a handshake. They end with handcuffs, with tears, with one man whispering, "You're mine now, forever." He waited 20 years to claim him, and he did, completely, irreversibly. Chapter 5, Routine of Ruin. The visits began without pattern or warning. The first came 3 nights after the kitchen floor. Elias was in the garage, sorting old boxes, when the side door opened without a knock. Ronan stepped inside like he owned the house because in his mind, he already did. He didn't speak, he simply locked the door behind him, grabbed Elias by the wrist and dragged him to the workbench. No words, no preamble. Ronan bent him over the rough wood, yanked his sweatpants down to his ankles, and took him dry except for a quick spitz, lick palm. Elias bit his own forearm to muffle the cry. The boys were asleep upstairs, Lena reading in bed. Ronan fucked him hard and fast, possessive snaps of hips, one hand pinning Elias's neck to the surface, the other bruising his hip. When he finished, he pulled out and came across Elias's lower back, marking skin-like territory. He left without cleaning him up. The next time was the laundry room, midday, while Lena was at the grocery store. Ronan arrived unannounced, phone in hand. He forced Elias to his knees first deep, throating until tears ran, then flipped him over the dryer. The machine was running. Vibrations rattled through Elias's body as Ronan pushed inside again, slower this time, savoring the way Elias trembled. "Feel that?" Ronan murmured against his ear. "Every spin cycle from now on, you'll remember this." He left fresh bite marks on Elias's shoulder, dark purple, impossible to hide under a shirt collar. The escalation was deliberate, methodical. By the end of the first week, restraints appeared. Ronan brought his own, soft black leather cuffs with metal buckles, a thin chain leash, a silk blindfold he never bothered to use. He liked Elias to see everything. One night, after the boys were in bed and Lena had fallen asleep on the couch watching television, Ronan texted a single word, "Garage, now." Elias went. Ronan had him stripped and cuffed to the support beam in under a minute, wrists above his head, ankles spread and secured to the base. The position left Elias arched, vulnerable, cock already hardening despite the fear knotting his stomach. Ronan circled him like a shark. He traced fingers over old bruises, pressing until Elias hissed. "These are fading," Ronan said, almost disappointed. "We can't have that." He produced a small black phone from his pocket, different from the one he used for business. No case, matte finish. He opened the camera. Flash, a close-up of the hand-shaped mark on Elias's hip. Flash, the bite on his collarbone, teeth impressions still visible. Flash. Elias's face flushed tear, streaked lips swollen from earlier use. Ronan lowered the phone, eyes gleaming. "Proof you're mine," he said softly. "Try covering them, I dare you. Go to work tomorrow with your shirt unbuttoned 1 extra notch. Let them see. Let your boss wonder who put those marks on his pretty little cocksucker." Elias shook his head frantically. "Please no." Ronan stepped close, cock already freed and hard against Elias's thigh. "Begging already," he mocked. "You haven't even felt it yet." He entered Elias in one long, unrelenting thrust deep enough to make Elias's vision white out for a second. Ronan didn't give him time to adjust. He fucked with punishing rhythm, one hand around Elias's throat, the other slapping his ass in sharp, stinging bursts. Each impact left red blooms across pale skin. "Look at you," Ronan growled, hips slamming forward, "leaking for the man who ruined you. Disgusting." Elias's cock bobbed untouched, pre-cum dripping in steady strings onto the concrete floor. His body clenched around Ronan, involuntarily greedy, traitorous, pulling him deeper even as fresh tears spilled. Ronan laughed, low, cruel. See, your whole knows who it belongs to, even if your brain's still pretending you hate this. He reached down, wrapped rough fingers around Elias's leaking cock, and stroked once hard. Elias came with a choked sob, spilling over Ronan's fist, body convulsing around the thick intrusion still buried inside him. Ronan didn't stop. He fucked Elias through the aftershocks, chasing his own release with brutal snaps until he buried himself deep and flooded him again hot, claiming, marking from the inside. When he pulled out, Elias sagged in the cuffs, legs shaking, cum leaking down his thighs. Ronan took one last photo close-up of the mess dripping from Elias's abused hole, then pocketed the phone. He uncuffed Elias without ceremony. Elias crumpled to his knees, gasping. Ronan crouched in front of him, tilting his chin up with 2 fingers. Tomorrow, he said quietly, I want fresh marks. Wear short sleeves to the office. Let them stare. If I check the cameras and see you covering up, he let the threat hang. You know what happens. Elias nodded, small, defeated. Ronan stood, adjusted his clothes, and walked out. The garage door clicked shut behind him. Elias stayed on the cold floor until the overhead light timer clicked off, plunging him into darkness. He didn't cry, not anymore. He just sat there, feeling the ache settle into his bones, the sticky warmth between his legs, the weight of invisible chains. Routine, ruin, both had become the same thing. End of Chapter 5, Chapter 6. Cracks in the facade. The changes started small, subtle enough that Lena told herself she was imagining things. Elias came home later most nights, claiming overtime or client meetings that ran long. When he finally walked through the door, his smiles were thinner, his eyes shadowed. He flinched sometimes when she touched his shoulder unexpectedly. The first time she noticed the bruises, dark fingerprints blooming along the side of his neck, he pulled his collar higher and muttered something about bumping into a filing cabinet at work. She didn't push, but the lies piled up like unpaid bills. One evening she found his shirt in the laundry hamper, white cotton, streaked with faint red marks that looked suspiciously like bite impressions. She stared at them for a long minute before dropping the shirt into the wash without a word. That night in bed, she reached for him soft, tentative, the way she used to when the boys were finally asleep and the house was quiet. Elias stiffened. His body went rigid under her palm. I'm tired, he whispered. She withdrew her hand. You've been tired a lot lately. He rolled away, back to her, breathing too carefully. Lena lay awake, staring at the ceiling, listening to the rhythm of his inhales, too even, too controlled, like he was pretending to sleep. She didn't know the half of it. Ronan had already cracked open Elias's life like a cheap safe. The hack happened the morning after the garage beam session. While Elias showered off the sweat and cum and shame, Ronan sat in the driver's seat of his black SUV 2 streets over, laptop open on the passenger seat. Elias's phone left charging on the nightstand, and upstairs was child's play. A simple phishing link sent under the guise of a package delivery notification from the courier Elias used for work. One careless tap while half asleep, and Ronan had full remote access. He scrolled through everything. Text threads with Lena, sweet, mundane, increasingly one-sided. Photos of the boys at soccer practice, birthday parties, school plays, emails from HR about performance reviews and the search history, late-night queries, how to hide bruises, does swallowing leave marks, can you get infections from rough oral. Ronan smiled, cold, satisfied. He didn't delete anything. He just watched, learned, mapped every vulnerability. Then he began to play. The first gift arrived 3 days later, a small brown package, no return address, delivered to the front porch while Elias was at work and Lena was home with the boys. She signed for it, curious, and set it on the kitchen counter. When Elias got home that evening, he saw the box and froze. What's that? Lena asked, stirring pasta sauce. Elias forced a laugh. probably something from work, client swag or whatever. He took it upstairs without opening it in front of her. In the bathroom, door locked, he tore the tape. Inside, black lace lingerie, thong and matching garter belt, delicate, expensive, the kind of thing meant to be seen and torn off. Tucked beneath, a folded note in sharp, masculine handwriting. Wear this under your suit tomorrow. Send proof, or I send your wife a photo of last night's mess on your thighs. Elias's stomach dropped. He shoved everything to the bottom of the hamper under dirty towels, heart slamming against his ribs. The next package came 2 days later. Same anonymous delivery. This one, a slim black plug with a flared base, silicone, heavy, and another note. Insert before you leave for work. Leave it in all day, photo every 2 hours, don't disappoint me. Elias hid it in the back of his sock drawer, buried under folded pairs. He wore it the next day. Every shift in his office chair sent a jolt through him. Reminder, humiliation, unwanted arousal. He sent the photos from the bathroom stall, time-stamped, humiliating angles. Ronan replied to each with a single emoji, a crown. Lena noticed he was walking strangely, stiff, careful. When she asked if he'd hurt his back, he lied again. Twisted it at the gym, he said. You haven't been to the gym in months. He shrugged, old injury flaring up. She watched him limp slightly up the stairs that night and felt something cold settle in her chest. The third gift arrived on a Saturday, when both boys were home playing in the backyard. The delivery guy rang the bell. Lena answered. Another small box. She brought it inside, set it on the entry table. Elias came down from changing and saw it, his face drained of color. Lena tilted her head. Another one. You've been getting a lot of packages lately. It's work stuff, he said hoarsely. Confidential client materials. I'll take it. He snatched the box and fled upstairs. Inside, a thin leather collar, black, discreet enough to pass as a necklace if you didn't look too closely. A small silver tag engraved with a single letter. The note, wear it tonight, under your shirt, to bed. Don't take it off until I say. If Lena asks, tell her it's a new chain. Lie well, you're getting good at it. Elias stared at the collar for a long time. Then he fastened it around his neck buckle, clicking softly, and pulled his shirt collar higher to hide it. Downstairs, Lena called the boys in for dinner. Elias descended the stairs slowly, throat tight against the leather. Lena glanced at him as he sat. You okay? She asked. You look pale. He forced a smile, just tired. She reached across the table to squeeze his hand. Her fingers brushed the hidden collar beneath his collar. She frowned. What's that? Elias pulled back too quickly. Nothing, just a new necklace, chain, for luck or something. Lena's eyes narrowed. Just a fraction. Okay, she said softly, but she didn't believe him. Not anymore. That night, in the dark, she lay beside him and listened to his breathing. Still too even, too controlled. She felt the faint ridge of leather under his shirt when she shifted closer. And for the first time, she didn't reach for him. She turned away. The cracks were spreading, and neither of them knew how deep they already ran. End of Chapter 6, Chapter 7. Shadow on the feed. The company picnic photo went up on a Thursday afternoon. Elias hadn't wanted to post it. The HR team had pushed everyone to a boost morale on the company's internal social feed and the public-facing page. He'd hesitated over the upload button for a full minute, thumb hovering, before Lena texted him from home, saw the picnic pics on the company page. You look nice in that blue shirt. Smiling face with smiling eyes, so he hit post. The photo was innocent enough on the surface. Elias standing in the middle of a grassy park, summer sun bright overhead, paper plates and plastic cups scattered on picnic tables behind him. His wife wasn't there. She'd stayed home with the younger boy who had a cold, but the older one was visible in the background, kicking a soccer ball with coworkers' kids. Elias smiled awkwardly at the camera, one arm slung casually around his shoulders by his boss, Mr. Hargrove. Hargrove was 50-something, silver at the temples, the kind of man who wore expensive polo shirts and called everyone a champ. His hand rested on Elias's shoulder in a way that looked paternal in the still image fingers curled just a little too possessively if you stared long enough. Ronan stared. He saw the post within minutes. Ronan had Elias's company page notifications mirrored to his own phone, set up the day after he hacked in. The photo popped up in his feed like a flare in the dark. He zoomed in, enlarged Hargrove's hand, the easy familiarity of it. The way Elias's smile didn't quite reach his eyes. Ronan's jaw tightened until the muscle jumped. He didn't text, didn't call. He waited. Elias left the office at 6:17 p.m., later than usual, pretending to finish a report he'd already completed. The parking lot was half empty, sodium lights buzzing overhead, casting everything in sickly orange. He was halfway to his car when the black SUV rolled up beside him. Slow, deliberate, blocking the path forward. The passenger window slid down. Ronan leaned across the console, eyes flat and cold. "Get in." Elias froze, looked around, no one else in sight. His heart slammed against his ribs. "Ronan, I now." Elias opened the door on numb legs and slid inside. The doors locked with a soft click. Ronan pulled away without a word, tires crunching over loose gravel, heading toward the industrial overlook at the edge of town, a stretch of empty asphalt with a chain link fence and a view of the river lights far below. No cameras, no witnesses. He parked at the farthest end, killed the engine. Silence pressed in, then Ronan turned in his seat, slow and predatory. "He touched you once," he said quietly. "That's one time too many." Elias swallowed. It was just a photo for work. "Nothing?" Ronan's hand shot out, fingers closing around Elias's throat, not hard enough to bruise yet, just enough to remind him who controlled the air. "You let him put his hand on you, in public, where anyone could see." His voice was low, almost conversational. "You smiled for the camera like a good little employee, while the man who used to come in your mouth draped himself over you like he still owns a piece." Elias's eyes filled. "I didn't mean..." "Shut up." Ronan released his throat only to grab a fistful of hair and yank Elias's head back against the headrest. "Backseat," he ordered. Elias scrambled over the console, awkward, shaking, until he was sprawled across the wide leather bench in the back. Ronan followed, slamming the door behind him, the sound echoing in the empty lot. He didn't bother with finesse. He shoved Elias' face down across the seat, yanked his slacks and underwear down in one rough motion, and spat once between his cheeks. Crude lubrication. Elias whimpered. Ronan entered him in a single, brutal thrust, deep, unforgiving. Elias screamed, sharp, broken hands scrabbling at the leather. Ronan clamped a hand over his mouth, muffling the sound. "Scream my name." He snarled against Elias's ear, hips snapping forward with punishing force. "Louder. Let any passerby know who owns this ass." Elias's cries turned ragged, desperate, muffled against Ronan's palm. Tears soaked the leather beneath his cheek. His body rocked with each thrust, cock trapped painfully against the seat, leaking despite everything. Ronan bit down on the side of Elias's neck, hard teeth breaking skin, fresh blood welling under the pressure. He sucked a vicious mark there, then another on the shoulder, then lower, claiming territory over old bruises. "You think Hargrove could do this?" Ronan growled, slamming in harder. "Think he could make you cry like the pathetic slut you are? He can't, no one can, only me." Elias sobbed, wordless, wrecked, body clenching around Ronan involuntarily. Ronan reached under him, wrapped rough fingers around Elias's leaking cock, and stroked once viciously. Elias came with a choked wail spilling over Ronan's fist, body convulsing. Ronan didn't slow. He fucked Elias through the aftershocks harder, faster, until his own release hit with a guttural curse. He buried himself deep, flooding Elias, grinding against him as though he could fuse them together. When he finally pulled out, Elias collapsed, shaking, gasping, cum leaking down his thighs. Ronan sat back, breathing hard, then reached for Elias's phone on the front seat. He unlocked it with Elias's limp thumb, opened the company social app, found the picnic photo, deleted it, then he went to contacts, scrolled to Hargrove's name. Block him, Ronan said, shoving the phone into Elias's trembling hand. Permanently, every account, work email, personal. All of it. Elias's fingers shook so badly he could barely tap the screen. Ronan watched until it was done, every trace erased. Then he leaned in close, lips brushing Elias's ear. Contact him again, he whispered, and he vanishes. Car accident, overdose, heart attack in his sleep, your choice. But he disappears, and you watch it happen from the front row. Elias nodded small, frantic, tears still streaming. Ronan cupped his jaw, almost gentle, now tilting his face up. Good boy. He started the SUV, drove Elias home in silence. Dropped him 2 blocks away so the neighbors wouldn't see. Elias stumbled the rest of the way limping, clothes askew, fresh bites throbbing under his collar. When he slipped inside, Lena was in the kitchen, washing dishes. She glanced over. You're late again. Elias forced a smile. Crooked, painful. Traffic, he lied. She looked at the fresh mark on his neck. Dark, angry, unmistakable. Her eyes narrowed, but she said nothing. The cracks were now fissures, and the house felt colder than it ever had. End of Chapter 7. Chapter 8. The dinner trap. Lena planned the dinner like it was a small act of war. She'd spent the afternoon in the kitchen, chopping vegetables with more force than necessary, simmering sauce until the house smelled of garlic and tomatoes and something almost hopeful. The boys were thrilled. Pasta night with extra cheese, candles on the table even though it was a Tuesday, and Mom wearing the blue dress Elias always said made her eyes brighter. She wanted to feel normal again. She wanted Elias to look at her the way he used to, soft, present, like she was the center of his world instead of a background figure he apologized to in passing. When he walked in from work, she met him at the door with a glass of cheap red wine and a careful smile. I made your favorite, she said, in no phones tonight, just us. Elias stared at her for a long second, eyes shadowed, collar pulled high, then forced a nod. That sounds perfect. He kissed her cheek. The motion felt rehearsed. He'd already texted Ronan earlier that afternoon from the office bathroom stall. Working late, big project deadline, won't be home till after 10. A single reply had come back almost immediately. Liar, no follow-up, no threat, just that word. It sat like lead in Elias's stomach all day. Dinner started well enough. The boys chattered about school soccer tryouts, a science project involving baking soda volcanoes. Lena laughed at their stories, touched Elias's arm lightly when she passed the bread. He managed small smiles, small answers. Under the table, though, his leg bounced uncontrollably. Then the doorbell rang. Lena frowned. Were we expecting anyone? Elias's fork froze halfway to his mouth. I'll get it, he said too quickly. He rose, legs unsteady, and opened the door. Ronan stood on the porch in a charcoal button-down, sleeves rolled to the elbows, holding another bouquet. Deep red roses this time, and a flat gift box wrapped in silver paper. Evening, Ronan said, voice smooth as oil. Smells incredible in here. Mind if I join? Lena appeared behind Elias before he could speak. Ron, of course, come in. We have plenty. Ronan stepped inside like he'd been invited months ago. He handed Lena the roses with a charming half-smile, then passed the gift box to the boys. A new video game, he said. The one with the dragons you were talking about last time. The boys cheered and bolted to set it up in the living room. Lena beamed. You're spoiling them. Ronan's eyes flicked to Elias, dark, amused, just being a good friend. They sat. Ronan took the chair directly across from Elias. Dinner became a performance. Ronan was flawless, asking Lena about her day at the community center, complimenting the sauce, laughing at the boys' terrible jokes. He even helped clear plates, sleeves riding higher to show the corded muscle of his forearms. Every time he passed behind Elias's chair, though, His hand landed on Elias's thigh under the table, hard, bruising grip. Fingers digging in like brands, Elias bit the inside of his cheek to keep from gasping. When Lena reached across to brush a crumb from Elias's lip, affectionate, absent Ronan's glare was instant and lethal. His hand tightened on Elias's thigh until Elias felt the bloom of fresh purple under the skin. Lena didn't notice. She was too busy smiling. After dessert, the boys ran off to play the new game. Lena started loading the dishwasher. Ronan leaned back in his chair, eyes locked on Elias. "Help me with the trash," Elias asked Lena, voice thin. She nodded. "Sure, I'll be right back." She stepped outside with the bag. Ronan stood immediately. He followed Elias into the kitchen, quiet, predatory. The moment the back door clicked shut behind Lena, Ronan had Elias backed against the island. "On your knees," he whispered. "Now." Elias's eyes darted toward the doorway. "The boys, the game, they could choke quietly," Ronan cut in, voice low and lethal. "Or I make noise, loud enough for your wife to hear exactly what kind of husband she has." Elias sank. Ronan unzipped with deliberate slowness, cock springing free, already thick and leaking. He fisted Elias's hair and guided himself past swollen lips. "Take it all," he murmured, "every inch," quietly. Elias tried. Ronan thrust shallow at first, testing, then deeper, hitting the back of Elias's throat until his eyes watered and his gag reflex kicked. Ronan held him there, nose pressed to coarse hair, while Elias choked silently, tears streaming, hands clutching Ronan's thighs. Outside, Lena hummed softly as she tied the trash bag. Ronan fucked Elias's mouth with controlled brutality, short, sharp thrusts that made Elias's throat bulge. Saliva dripped down his chin, soaking his shirt collar. When Ronan came, it was sudden hot pulses flooding Elias's mouth. He pulled out at the last second, fisting himself once, twice, then painted Elias's face, thick stripes across cheeks, lips, the bridge of his nose. Ronan tilted Elias's chin up with 2 fingers. "Where my cum under your skin tonight," he said softly. "Don't wipe it off until morning. Let it dry. Let it crack when you smile at her." Elias knelt there, shaking, face streaked, throat raw, while Ronan tucked himself away and zipped up. Ronan crouched briefly, thumb smearing a line of cum across Elias's lower lip. "Good boy." He straightened, smoothed his shirt, and walked back to the dining room as though nothing had happened. When Lena returned, she found Elias still in the kitchen, face flushed, eyes glassy, breathing uneven. "You okay?" she asked, concerned. Elias nodded. "Just hot in here." She touched his cheek, felt the tacky residue under her fingertips, and frowned. "What's on your face?" Elias flinched away. Nothing, sweat, I'll wash up." He turned to the sink, splashing water, scrubbing frantically while Lena watched. Ronan appeared in the doorway, casual, smiling. "Everything all right?" he asked. Lena looked between them. "Fine," she said slowly, but her voice had gone quiet. The boys called from the living room something about beating a level. Ronan ruffled their hair on his way out, said good night to Lena with a kiss on her cheek that lingered 1 second too long. At the door he paused, looking back at Elias. "See you soon," he said. The door closed. Lena turned to Elias. He was still at the sink, hands gripping the edge, shoulders trembling. She stepped closer. "Elias," she whispered, "what's happening to you?" He didn't answer. He couldn't. The trap had closed and the dinner was over. End of chapter 8.
That's all for today on Cherry Blossom BL story. Thank you for watching. What do you think about this chapter? Did you like it? Or do you think something unexpected is coming? Comment your thoughts below. And subscribe for more stories.